Have you ever thought about growing your own seeds indoors? Neither have I until this year. Let's see how it's done. Hello, Huntsteaders. So today is Wednesday, January 20th, 2021. Here I am at the Huntsteader kitchen table. So I'm going to do something different this year that I haven't done in the garden, which is grow my own seeds or grow my own plants from seeds. Now I have grown like radishes and carrots that I sowed directly into pots or into the garden in the past, and that's worked well. But what I want to do this time is start some of my own specialty seeds. So up until now, I pretty much get starts at the nursery, plants that are already ready for transplanting into the garden and let those things grow. But you're kind of limited to what they have available. And up until last year, I pretty much stuck with sweet peppers in the garden because we use them, we cook them, we eat them. And hot peppers, I've had various varieties in the past, but I just didn't know what to do with them. And this winter, I was able to spend a little time in the Bahamas, and I was exposed to Bahamian goat peppers, which are fantastic. I mean, the best. I had a conch salad over there. It was unbelievable with that goat pepper in it. And then last year I grew my own habaneros. Here's one still left over from the winter. I'm overwintering this plant, and I did save some seeds from it. And that's the thing. If you want to, if you're content with what they have in the garden store, then you can just buy plants there. But I want to do some specialty things. Like, for instance, I had a tamarillo tree. I've done a couple of videos on it. It got some type of disease, and I ended up pulling it out. But I saved some seeds from it. And I got another type of tamarillo tree, a red fruit. Mine is more of an orange. And then I got a dwarf tamarillo. So I want to try that. I'm going to put this in a container. I want to start these two, and I got a place in the orchard for them. They're not that big of a tree, and I can just stick them back there. And I'd like to see the difference in those two tamarillos. And then I want to start making my own hot sauce. And last year we had this Thai chilies that I had in the garden that were fantastic. And I made these chili powders out of the Thai peppers. They're unbelievable, fantastic. And then I had these Bombero peppers. These things are hot, and you got to use these at like half strength of what a recipe calls for when it calls for chili powder. And it's way hotter than what you'd get in the store chili powder. And this Thai is fantastic. So that kind of got me thinking about how I can kind of grow the things I want to grow as opposed to just poking and hoping out there. So I did a little research. I got a wide variety of from Pepper Joe's. I got some Agi Fantasies, Brazilian Starfish, Biquinho, I guess that thing is called. So these two are like medium spice, which I'm looking for. And then I do have some hot ones too. And I'm just going to play around and see what we can do this year. Also, several years ago, well, about a year or so ago, I got some ice cream bean plants from Maui Seed Company. The Maui Seed Company is fantastic. They always give you extra stuff. And they sent this little bit of Hawaii chili pepper seeds last time for me. It was an extra. And it says it takes 1 to 12 weeks to grow. Well, I just planted them outside in little starter cups. None of them sprouted. So I ordered some more. I still have 5 seeds left from the original extra seeds they sent me. I ordered some more that I just got, and that's about the size of the chilies. And they sent me a blackberry jam plant too, so I'm gonna grow one of those. But these chilies are great. They look like they would be great for chili powder or chili flakes. So these are the seeds. Let me show you the setup. All right. Here we are back at the kitchen table. I'm doing this inside because it's super windy out there today, and I do not want to have to do this out in the backyard where I would normally do it. So I'm just going to do it here in the kitchen, try to keep things as clean as possible. Shh, don't tell Mrs. Hunstead. So what I'm using is this black gold seedling mix as my starter soil for these things. So seeds, you don't want to use a regular potting soil. Seeding mix, you can get them, there's all kinds of varieties, but they're typically sterile and contain everything you need to get seeds started. So that's what we're going to use, and I'm going to pot these things up right here. Alright, so that wasn't so bad. Spilled a little bit. This gives you a look at what this potting soil looks like. It's really soft, really really clean, pure potting soil. So I've got it in all my trays, and it did spill a little bit down below. So what I'm going to do is kind of take these outside, use the hose just to soak the soil first before I put the seeds in. Then I'll just poke little holes, put my seeds in, cover it with a little more soil, put some more water on the top, and label them. It's very important that we label our plants so we don't forget what's what. And then I'll get these things set up on their trays. So let me water them up. All right, that wasn't going to work. I took these things outside. This potting mix is so fine. That wind out there is going to blow it all over the place. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my sink here and just soak these things really well. Oh, water get in there. It might be a little too much. Just let these things soak a little bit through. Set them back in the tray. I also emptied the bottom of the tray back into the bag, because the way I want to water these things is from the bottom. They have the holes down in the bottom of the containers, and what I'll do, rather than be messing with the topsoil, I'll water the bottom of the tray, let it sit in there for a while. These things can wick up the water they need from the bottom, and then keep the plants happy that way. I just want to get these things thoroughly moist. Let it settle down. See how the tops get nice and firm once you get the water in there. Be able to drop some little holes. Sow my seeds. Sprinkle a little more soil on the top and just a little more water. See, the water is coming out the bottom there, so that's what I wanted. Thoroughly soak every one of these. Seed squares, planting stations, whatever you want to call them. Mrs. Hunstead's not going to be happy with me getting all this dirt in the sink, but I will do my best to clean up this kitchen before she gets home. What was that? Get that thing out of there. All right, I got one tray watered. Let me do the other one. We'll get back to sowing the seeds. All right, so I'm going to start these seedlings with my Bahamian goat pepper seeds that I got here. I've got a great story on the Bahamian goat peppers that I'll tell one of these days about my trip to the Bahamas and the seeds that I got. They got taken from customs, but I was able to find some here in the good old US of A. I'm going to sow those. So what I did is I took this little Sharpie pen and I just made little holes, little dents into the potting soil. I'm going to drop 2 seeds in each one, sprinkle a little more seed soil on the top, and then just move on. We'll get this seed tray planted out. So there we go. Got 2 seeds in each hole. That is for a total of 16 seeds. We just sprinkle a little bit of soil up on top. We don't want to get too much on there. Just a little bit. Jay's making a mess. Let me do this without the camera. All right, I got my first little container seeded out. So I got my Bahamian goats here in the back. Hawaiian chili pepper. So I put the first 3 are old seeds from what I had a year ago that didn't germinate in the backyard. I want to test those against the new seeds. So it's new seeds over in this corner and then all 4 of these. This is a Scotch bonnet that I grew in my yard and a habanero that I grew in my yard. So what I'm going to do now is just spray the tops just to get water all the way on the top of the new soil that I sprinkled over the holes. I just want to make sure that everything stays nice and moist, just like that. We already soaked the dirt. We're just making sure that the soil that went over the top of the seeds compacts down over the seeds. They have good contact. I pressed them down a little bit, and I'm just going to give them a little spray, like that. That looks good. Nice and moist up top. And now I'm going to move on, plant the rest of these out. All right, Hunsteader, so there we go. I got the top one all planted out and labeled. Now I have some peppers, and these are all peppers up here, all of these. Down below I have the camarillos and some cherry tomatoes, and then I left these open because I have some more peppers coming that haven't arrived yet. And the reason that I wanted to get started is because my Hawaiian chili peppers can take up to 12 weeks to germinate. And so we're at the end of January. I want to make sure we get these things in the garden, you know, around March, early April at the latest. So I've got them covered, and now I've got to figure out how to set up these grow lights. Good news is you don't really need to have lights for the first 3 days or so after planting. You want to have them up and running for when the seedlings pop through. And it just may take me 3 days to figure out how to assemble these lights. They didn't come assembled, so I'm going to get cracking on that. And then I've got to set up my heating pads too. I'm going to run the cords. I've got a plug right back here in the back, so I'm going to run a cord box below, and I'll run my heating pads and my lamps into it once I figure out how I want to put them together and suspend them so that they are at the right height over the seed beds. So that's the next step. I will see you then. All right, Hunsteaders, so there we go. I've got my little seedling grow light set up. So just to kind of walk through this a little bit, these are called Barrina, B-A-R-R-I-N-A grow lights. They're pink in color. Before you give me any flack for that in the comments, Mrs. Hunstead, I gave her the choice if she wanted white or pink. She wanted pink. That's what we got. So when you encroach on the interior of the house for your gardening hobby, you got to take what you can get, right? So it was actually much easier to set up than I thought. So these lights are all hooked up on the same plug. This is the plug here, and there's the cord. And underneath, I have it on a timer plugged in. So it goes on at 6 in the morning, and it's going off at 8 p.m. right now. I have them suspended with these S hooks and just some chains I got at Home Depot. I cut to 1 foot lengths. And then the power cord runs through the lights. So it runs from the plug out the first light into the second one, then down into the bottom row and into the fourth one. And then there's a little plug end you can put on the end down there. And then the heating pads that I have underneath the seed beds are just plugged in by themselves over here, and they're on 24/7. And you can see that that this little greenhouse effect from this plastic cover is working pretty well. And I'm just going to keep the cover on until we get seed sprouting. You don't want to leave that moisture in there and create problems for the seeds once they do germinate. But that's what we got going on right now. So I'm really happy with this thing. Just a little cheap shelf I got at Home Depot. Everything I got in here was pretty cheap. The most expensive things were the lights. I think they were like 60 bucks or something like that on Amazon. I do have 2 extra ones, so I'm only using 4. I think that's all I need. And I probably still will lower these a little bit because they're about, with the plastic cover, about 4 inches above, and I think you want to have them about 2 inches above. So I'll lower them once we start getting some seeds sprouting. But that's it, a pretty easy setup. Very happy with it at this point. And let's check back in once we get something sprouted. Good morning, Hunsteaders. So here we are, not in the garden, but in the inside garden. My seed starting setup over here under the grow lights. So I put these in last Wednesday. Today is Tuesday, the 26th. And I'm happy to report I have a lot of things germinating. So you can see in this first row back here, I have, 2 Bohemian goat peppers in the back. They seem very prolific because I have some more Bohemian goats here. Look at these guys. Got 3 of them sprouted here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sprouted in the back. I have some Brazilian starfish that have sprouted in the back of this one here. Some, what is that? Agi something has sprouted really well back here. Some of these orange bell peppers that I just took out of a organic bell pepper that I like the color of have grown really well. The ones that haven't are my Hawaiian chili right here. There's no sign that they're sprouted yet. So this is from the new seeds I just got, and this is from the old seed that I've had for about a year, so I'm trying to see. I also have some, where did I put those guys? I thought I put some more Hawaiian chili over here. So still nothing. I'm really looking forward to those, but I'm happy the Bohemian goat has done so well. I really want to have those in my garden this year. Then down on the bottom, I've got these red cherry tomatoes that I got from, who are those guys that sent me the peppers? Let's look up here. Let's see here. These guys, Pepper Joe's. He sent me some extra seeds, and included were these cherry red tomatoes. And look at these guys. They're reaching up to the sky really well, searching for that light. And down here I have my tamarillos. I expected those to take a little longer to sprout. Nothing else is sprouted down here. And then I have the blackberry jam that I also got from the Maui Seed Company in the back. Nothing sprouted there. And that's in these first 2 rows. And then yesterday I just put some Holland red peppers and some poblanos in here that I got from the store. So I found these Holland red peppers the other day. They're these long, red, fairly hot pepper, and they look great. I wanted to have them in the garden. In fact, I'll show you those in a minute. So this is the update. 6 days into my grow lights. I've got some pretty good growth out there. I'm excited. I took the plastic covers off because I want to make sure that these seedlings that have sprouted can take advantage of the light right there. And I may even lower them a little bit, get them a little closer. But that's it. That's the update on our lights. All right, so here are the Holland long red peppers. They're about 6 inches long, pretty good red color. I think they're gonna look great in the garden. This is the one I took the seeds out of, and I bit off of that end just to test the heat. It has a little bit of heat, but I was able to chew it no problem. I did rub my eyes accidentally later on. Felt like I got pepper sprayed a little bit. But so I know there's some heat in there, but they're not terribly hot. Anyway, that is the Holland long red pepper that I have growing in my seed starting boxes.